It's a huge news day for NASCAR. A lot of positives coming from this huge news day, including the big topic of discussion here for this episode. NASCAR will disqualify winners if their cars fail post-race inspection. That's right. That's the big topic of discussion. It'll be the first thing we discuss here today on this episode. NASCAR will DQ winners if their cars fail post-race inspection. So, as a part of simplifying the post-race inspection process, NASCAR will take the winner's car and tear that car down at the racetrack that night, the same night as the race, to make sure that that car is legal. If the car is legal, that's fine. They pass tech and they win the race. If the first place car fails with a, quote, major violation, that car will be disqualified and everything with the win goes away, and the next highest legal car will get everything that goes with that win. The disqualified car will drop down to last position, which gains 1 point out of the day. So basically that means the cars that they want to take, they will, do, and if they pass inspection, they pass inspection. If they don't, they go to the next highest. If that car also fails inspection, they go to third, so on and so forth, until we get the first legal car. So in all honesty, the real winner of the race could be the driver who finishes 7th, which could be someone like, I don't know, Paul Menard, or someone could win the race because of, the cars in front failing, which is a huge step forward for NASCAR. For years now, this should have been the norm, where they did it at the track, and if that team failed, and they lost everything associated with that win. It should have been the norm, and they're just kind of sticking to their roots, sticking to their old things. The fact that they've done it now, big step forward. It's a big step to do this, because in my opinion, this should have been done a long time ago. This is one of the most important things that they have done so far this season, because we saw so many. We saw Kevin Harvick, with his, window violation, and then him at Texas as well. We saw some others, 2017, Logano and Hamlin. So it's happened, and it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. What are the chances, what if a playoff driver has this happen? This is something that NASCAR's needed to do for a while, because the teams have been pushing the edge for far too long, and I feel that they'll still be pushing a little bit, but they won't be pushing as much maybe now, especially if you're in the playoffs. If you're in the playoffs, you do not want this to happen to you, because not only do you lose everything associated with the win, you also lose the points. So what does that mean? That means you get dropped to last place, which is probably going to be 40th. If you get dropped to 40th, right, that's 1 point. You only get 1 point out of the race if you fail inspection. That is crazy. That is harsh. You lose about 39 points. You lose all the playoff points you gained, and they go to second place. So those 5 playoff points will go to the next highest legal car. They'd also get the points for winning the race, so on and so forth. So it's going to be crazy. That is insane what they have done with this. It's a great step forward. I'm actually excited for that. And the reason I keep repeating that I'm excited for it, because some people think that I am all negative and that I just think NASCAR does everything wrong, even though if they had watched any video of mine, they would have known that, I have actually said a lot of good things about NASCAR in the past, and I am probably one of the more optimistic NASCAR YouTubers that we have. But the fact of the matter is that I cannot get behind the 2019 package. But enough about the 2019 package, because this news day has a lot more about the 2019 package. The next step of conversation is how NASCAR said they want to simplify the officiating process. So basically, Jim France said this quote, "I always start with the product. Our product is racing. So what goes on in competition is really important. How we officiate our sport, we'll have some changes there that we could probably talk about down the line." Exactly right, that NASCAR is trying to make officiating more simple and make sure we are deploying our resources in the smartest way in order to do that. Basically, NASCAR is saying right there that we are wanting to simplify the officiating process and make everything a little easier to understand, a little bit easier to follow. Jim France is leading that charge, and this is exactly why we needed a different leader in terms of, someone else other than Brian France, because this stuff probably wouldn't be happening if Brian France was still, the CEO of NASCAR. But right now, with Jim France taking over as the CEO, he's made a lot of good calls. We're already DQing winners at this point. We've now got that they're trying to simplify the officiating process, which is really nice, and something to just look at and just see how that goes. But all in all, so far this news day has been pretty good. The next big information news is that it has been reported that Steve O'Donnell has told media members that the Gen 7 is scheduled to make its debut at the 2021 Daytona 500. So we're in the 2019 season now, so 3 more Daytona 500s, and we should be seeing the Gen 7 car on the racetrack. More importantly, 2021 is a big year for NASCAR, and this will be the year that determines the fate of NASCAR, in my opinion. This is a huge, huge year. Not only is it going to be most likely the reveal of the new car and all the specs within, see how that runs, it's also the year after the contracts with the tracks expire, which basically means that if they do not add more new tracks like Gateway, Nashville, Iowa, Rockingham, IRP, if they don't get those tracks, NASCAR's in big trouble, because these are some tracks that they really need. And they need, no matter what, if it's the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, the Cup Series, they need these tracks for those series, and they really need to make sure that they get them. And we can lose a date at Kansas. We can lose a date at Texas. We can take away a date from Kentucky. There's some, there are some tracks that are not needed on the schedule. For all I care, take a day away from Pocono. Take one from Michigan, and add some to some of these others that deserve 2 dates, or some that deserve a date. So in my opinion, 2021 will be either the straw that broke the camel's back, or it will be the best thing to happen to NASCAR since Dale Earnhardt Jr. back in 2000. I don't know what else. And one of the final bits of information I want to talk about is the Triple Truck Challenge. So this is basically, if you know the Xfinity Series, they do the Dash for Cash program, which is basically select races. I think it's Bristol, Richmond, Dover, and Talladega. Those 4 races in a row, they have the Dash for Cash challenge, where basically the top 4 Xfinity regulars, the top 4 finishing Xfinity regulars from the previous race, get put into the Dash for Cash program, and the highest finisher at the end of that day wins, like $100,000 or something for their team. So it's a nice way for some teams to get more money, to try and get that money. Well, the Triple Truck Challenge has taken that a step further and has made it a little bit harder to get the money, but it will be worth it if you can get the money. So, Ben Kennedy obviously runs the Truck Series, was the Gander Outdoors NASCAR Truck Series or something like that. Basically it is a 3 straight race, 3 consecutive stops. It'll go to Texas, Iowa, and Gateway. The Triple Truck Challenge will award a $50,000 bonus to a driver if you win that race. So if a team wins that race, say Brett Moffitt goes out and wins a race, he gets $50,000. So say Brett Moffitt goes out and wins Texas, he gets $50,000. If Stuart Friesen goes out and wins Iowa, he gets $50,000. If someone like, I forget if someone like, who's racing? Is Justin Haley racing? No, he's racing in Xfinity now. But say someone else other than those, let's just say Matt Crafton, goes out and wins at Gateway, he gets $50,000. Now, if you win 2 of the 3 races, you get $150,000. So if you get a win at Texas and Iowa, a win at Texas and Gateway, a win at Iowa and Gateway, you get an additional $150,000. And the big catch, if you win all 3 in a row, if you get 3 straight wins in the Truck Series, you collect $500,000 for your team. So basically, these drivers are going to be on the edge. If a driver goes out and wins Texas, you got to know how hard they're going to be driving at Iowa and Gateway to get that money for the team and for themselves, because this is going to be a huge. It's going to be hard to win. It's kind of like, I don't know if a lot of people remember this, but back in 2011, when Sprint did their quote-unquote Sprint Summer Showdown, where basically if you won the races leading up to the Sprint Summer Showdown, I believe it was from Indianapolis up to Indianapolis up to maybe like Bristol or something. If you won one of those races, you got put into the Sprint Summer Showdown, which was basically the drivers competing at Atlanta. If they won it, they got like $1 million or something. Turned out Jeff Gordon spoiled that party and won. But basically, it's kind of like that, except not really, because you have to win 3 straight races to get this this money. It'll be interesting to see. It's gonna be hard to get, but if someone ever gets it, if it continues to be a thing, it'll be pretty amazing. It's kind of like the now think about it. It's kind of like the Winston Million, where if you what was it, like the 4 prestige races, if you won them all in the same year, you got $1 million, and Winston wasn't really prepared for someone to win it. So when Bill Elliott got it, they were kind of shocked, and I think that they needed to like get money out or something because they didn't have the $1 million on deck because they didn't think Bill Elliott would get it. But so I mean, some great news for NASCAR here today in terms of competition changes, in terms of truck changes, in terms of, the future of the sport, in terms of making everything simpler for the fans and the drivers and the teams to understand. Because, lately has been a huge, depressing just time for anyone as a fan of NASCAR. This whole, aero package debate, which has basically split the fan base, like, it's just torn them in half almost. Like, I feel like it's just tearing everyone in half at this point. It's like 50 on one side, 50 on the other side, fighting their case, and it's kind of put people against each other, and it's made, a whole debate. And while that's nice to have debates, it's not nice like that when it's, the bump and run was a nice thing to debate, where like, should that have happened? But this is something that has just been so extreme, 50-50 going at each other, and then the test didn't help at all when most of the testing was bad, and then you had a few of the testing that was good, which is making it look like if the track has a lot of grip or if it's a night race, then that should work out with that aero package. But if the track is hot and slick and it's a hot day and the sun is shining, it's not going to be a great race. So maybe Las Vegas in March might be a good race, but maybe, Chicagoland is probably screwed at this point because it's going to be a hot, slick racetrack that will probably not work with the aero package. But I don't really want to talk about the aero package because I think this video should be more about the good news that's coming. Once again, DQing winners. Once again, we don't really know what a major violation is. We have to assume that something like what Kevin Harvick did last season at the Texas race, something like Joey Logano did in his Richmond win, something like Denny Hamlin did, something that would cause an encumberment normally might just lead now to stuff like that. Also, when asked about tire blowouts, what would they do about that? They're saying that they're trying to stay away from that because honestly, you don't know if they're hiding something. You don't know if that was intentional or not. But they did say if it is a common denominator and it's the same team and the same driver doing it, they will penalize if it happens enough times. So once may be all right, but if you do about 3-4 times, they might try and put an end to it and maybe give you a penalty for that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that because we know 2017 Martin Truex Jr. was a big offender of this where he did it in, I believe, most of his wins. He blew out the rear quarter panels. So a great news day for NASCAR, something that's been needed for a long time. It seems like every time there's been good news or a good race, last season there was a good race and then bad news followed it Monday or Tuesday. So it's just nice to see that after a horrible week for NASCAR in terms of the aero package and people, just kind of pitted against each other and whatnot, that this has happened. And we are less than a week away from cars back on the racetrack. Clash practice coming up later this week. The Clash and the Daytona 500 pole qualifying Sunday afternoon. We are back to NASCAR racing. The NFL season is over, and we're here for NASCAR season now. So it's a nice little lead-in. You go from Super Bowl, and now you get to the NASCAR season. It'll be interesting to see how all that goes, and I can't wait to get started back going to race reviews for now. So I thank you guys for watching. Great news day for NASCAR. Especially with the DQing winners. I think that's the biggest news that's coming. I think that's also going to be something controversial. I'm waiting to see what happens when a fan favorite, like someone like maybe Chase Elliott or Alex Bowman or Ryan Blaney, fails inspection as opposed to Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., or I guess Truex can be considered a fan favorite, but someone like, if Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin got penalized, it'd be interesting to see the reaction to that as opposed to if Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, or Alex Bowman or someone like that failed inspection. So, yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. We'll see if there's the same amount of encumberments coming forward, or if teams kind of lay back a little bit and say we cannot fail inspection. Okay, we cannot do that. We'll just have to see how that goes. Also, just a quick little thing about it. Qualifying, they have changed that. The first round will now be 10 minutes, along with the second round, and then the final round will be 5 minutes. I think that's just trying to shorten it down a little bit. And I think the time in between rounds has been put from 7 to 5 minutes now. So I think that's trying to shorten it down. Maybe they're thinking about having more 2-day shows where instead of just coming Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they go Saturday and Sunday, where they have qualifying on the same day as the race. So maybe that's something they're looking into, just trying to sort qualifying to do that. I don't know, but other than that, NASCAR will DQ winners. NASCAR looking to simplify officiating. The Gen 7 possibly coming in 2021, along with maybe new track contracts, the Triple Truck Challenge, and also shortening rounds of qualifying. But it'll be interesting to see if they decide to try and keep qualifying rounds because of the new aero package. And it's, the drivers are going to want the draft, so we might have a big shit show in qualifying depending on if they keep the rounds for the bigger tracks or not. So I thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys for the next video.